Hi, in this video, we'll look at a time-lapse of how I created a movie-like scene for our character. First off, Blender's default renders do not provide a high dynamic range. If you want your scenes to look cinematic, you need a higher high dynamic range. For that, grab the Filmic Blender add-on from this link. The only settings from Filmic that you really need is base contrast. You can adjust the exposure settings later to however you prefer, and this can be done anytime, even after the render is completed. Shameless plug, after this I went ahead and grabbed a few assets from the Backyard Asset Pack, which you can buy on the Blender market from this link. You don't have to do it for your scenes, you can use your own models of course, but for me, the Asset Pack allowed me to very quickly generate a scene with grass, flowers, trees, fences, and even a house just to showcase my character. There are so many models in the Asset Pack with items you typically find in the backyard. So once I brought in all the assets, it was then a simple matter of arranging my scene to make it look like a typical suburban street, with a house, with a pathway, with a road, grass, and just the typical, typical things you'd find on a normal suburban street. When I was doing some test renderings, I found that the scene looked a little bit dull, a little bit boring, with just a grass and a pathway. So just to make the scene look a little bit more interesting and with a little bit more color, I decided to add some flowers, which I've also got from the Backyard Asset Pack. So that will just add a bit more of a color interest to the scene. After everything was set up, I then went ahead and changed the lighting setup. I deleted all the default lamps in the Blender scene and used an actual HDR image, which you can find if you Google HDR sky images, and with some very basic setup of the sky nodes, I managed to very quickly create realistic lighting. The images that tend to be produced after a filmic based render tend to come out looking a little bit dull and washed out, and that's actually quite typical of a high dynamic range based render. So then what you usually do is you'd go into the compositor and adjust the color to make it look like a film. So for this case I used the color balance node to play around with the colors and to set it up in a way to make it look like a typical Disney Pixar-ish type of color setup. Color balance is actually a very advanced topic and it's used by film industry experts as well for their movies. Not only animation movies, it's also used in live action films as well. It's mainly used as a tool to change the mood of your film. So if you want to know about the color balance theory and all that stuff, go ahead and check out some tutorials online. There's some useful resources on that. After all of that was done, it was then a simple matter of adjusting the camera and the character's pose to create an interesting render. In fact, I created a few renders from the same scene by simply changing the character's position and pose, as well as the HDR light setup. And that's pretty much it. Comment down below if you're interested in more details regarding this. Remember, you can download this character rig for free from this link. Thanks for watching, and please like, share and subscribe.